Brisbane's unexpected leap from 15th to 2nd was one of the defining stories of the 2019 season. This year, fewer sides have entered the 2020 season with more optimism than Carlton, and Blue Baggers will have their fingers crossed that their side can exceed expectations and mount a climb up the ladder reminiscent of the Lions last year. Could we realistically expect Carlton to be the Brisbane of 2020? 2 years prior, Brisbane had finished on the edge of the bottom four. Their record of 5-17 placed them in 15th, but the year was by no means a disappointment to coach Chris Fagan. Instead, the Lions took comfort in a competitiveness that was lacking in 2017, when they recorded the same win-loss record but held the wooden spoon by the year's end. 11 of the Lions' 17 losses were decided by 30 points or less. 5 of these were decided by less than 10 points, and just one 10-goal plus belting came from minor premiers Richmond by 93 points. In their wins column, only one of the Lions' wins was by less than 5 goals, defeating the Hawks by 56, Freo by 55, Carlton by 65, the Hawks again by 33 in Tassie, and Gold Coast by just 4 points. This unusual range of results was reflected in the ladder. Despite finishing 15th, the Lions' win percentage sat at 89.1, clear daylight between the 3 teams below them and the 2 above. Even before their rise, evidence of Brisbane's potential came from a Moneyball-style approach known as Pythagorean wins. The theory looks at how many games a team is expected to win based on their percentage, and is used to discern whether a team over or underperformed based on their results. In this example, in 2018, Brisbane's win tally was 5, but their large percentage predicted an expected win tally of 8.5, showing the Lions' potential was far greater than their ladder position would suggest, and indeed, the next season saw them leap from one end of the ladder to the other. Carlton fell victim to an evenly matched competition in 2019, where they recorded 2 more wins than Brisbane did in 2018. A record of 5-17 had them finishing 1 place lower in 16th. For a bottom 4 side, the Blues also showed similar signs of competitiveness, recording 4 losses by 10 points or less, and only losing 2 games by 10 plus goals. However, their 2019 win tally was in agreement with the expected value of 7.5, meaning they don't have the same unrealised potential the 18 Lions did. Carlton's season, however, can be largely divided into 2 halves, and they managed a positive record of 6-5 following the takeover of assistant-turned-head coach David Teague. In Fagan and Teague, Brisbane and Carlton have 2 coaches that focus on instilling self-belief in their playing group, and have shown an ability to coach attacking mentalities into struggling sides. Fagan's response after watching his young team constantly turn the ball over in a 2017 defeat encapsulates his mindset. You still have to go for it. How do you get better if you go into your shell? You can't. You have to keep trying, exploring, and having a crack. 2 seasons later, Brisbane are one of the league's most damaging attacks, and arguably the most entertaining side to watch in the league, leading the home and away scoring for 2019 with 2,004 points. Early indications suggest Teague will also embrace a free-spirited philosophy at Carlton. Teague rejoined the Blues as an assistant after a 3-year stint as a forward-line coach at Adelaide. During his tenure, the Crows averaged 106 points a game, and led the league scoring in both 2016 and 17. At times disillusioned with the team's rigid defensive focus under Brendan Bolton, he looked to be implementing similar attacking philosophies at Carlton. I want them to be the best players they are, not try and be someone else. How I've gotten the best out of people is to allow them to express themselves out on the football field, he remarked shortly after taking over, comments that echo the sentiments held by Fagan. Indeed, the first half of last year saw Bolton's Blues average just 67 points. After Teague took over, that average jumped by 2 goals to 79, almost level with the 83 points scored by the Lions on average in 2018. Despite some fairy tale similarities, undeniable are some key differences in the makeup of the 2 clubs. Much of the Lions' sustained form last year was attributed to an impeccable injury run, fielding full-strength sides for the majority of the year. This is already not the case at Carlton. After Eddie Betts, Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay missed round 1, the Blues are one of the few clubs who have probably benefited from the time off. Despite Curnow being ruled out for 2020, the return of fitness for Betts and Mackay should provide balance to the Blues forward line. While the heartbreaking round 1 injury of Matthew Cruiser will see him miss games, Levi Casbolt was impressive for the remainder of the game, and it will mean opportunities can be provided to recruit Mark Pitternet and youngster Tom De Koning. A case is also to be made for the impact a player like Luke Hodge, who was given credit for the Lions' much improved defensive game in 2019, can have on a young, impressionable side. It will be watched with great interest whether the return of Sam Docherty will impact the Blues' organisation and defensive structure in a similar way, after missing 2 years of football. He will hope he can inspire the best out of reformed defender Liam Jones, and the talented Jacob Wiedering, who was impressive on Coleman favourite Tom Lynch back in round 1. The arrival of Lachie Neale at Brisbane was also a key factor in the Lions' surprise jump, who joined the team ready-made as one of the AFL's best midfielders. Already possessing one of the league's best ball winners in Patrick Cripps, Carlton's attention focused on their forward line. New Lion Charlie Cameron's career-best form last year was another strong factor behind the Lions' jump, and the Blues will hope that their high-profile recruit Jack Martin can play a similar role. The early signs are promising. Martin's 4 goals and 17 touches in Carlton's season opener against Richmond helped to re-energise his entire team, and his creative attacking spark could underpin the Blues season in a similar way to Cameron's in 2019. In another parallel, Eddie Betts returning to Carlton means he could offer Martin the same sort of tutelage that Cameron received at Adelaide. So while there are some key factors in place that have Carlton primed to emerge from the bottom of the ladder once again, Blues fans might want to remain measured in their approach to the team this year. While no one predicted the phenomenal level to which Brisbane would rise in 2019, the signs that they were ready to progress were available. It's also worth noting that Chris Fagan had 3 full pre-seasons to build his own game plan and list, while Teague so far has served just half a season in charge. So look for Carlton to play increasingly better as the football season goes on. The Lions launched their fairy tale year with an upset win over reigning premiers West Coast, a milestone Carlton failed to match in their round 1 defeat. So while we're optimistic the Blues will improve this year, and the unprecedented 2020 season ahead of us is likely to throw up plenty of surprises, we don't expect Carlton finishing in the top 4 to be one of them, although a return to finals footy would not entirely come out of the blue.